Hello and welcome to another episode of the Laugh and Death podcast. This one's going to be a little bit special. We talked on our last podcast about doing a Game of Thrones podcast, but we decided to give you all something bigger and something better, something on a more of a grand of a scale, something that's fitting for Game of Thrones. And so we decided that we are going to put up a series for you as far as what we're going to do with the Game of Thrones. And so we decided that we are going to do a 4 or 5 part mini-series on Game of Thrones. And we're going to start off by watching through and reviewing seasons 1 through 3. So we hope that you can join us in a few weeks when we recap, and hopefully you can watch along with us. Starting this Sunday, we will be 71 days away from the premiere of Game of Thrones, which I don't know about you guys. I'm super excited about.
Super stoked.
And we're going to recap seasons 1 through 3, and then this episode is gonna be a little bit different, or those episodes are gonna be a little bit different. We're gonna have the actual format where we're gonna talk about Game of Thrones facts, Game of Thrones history. We're gonna compare the show to the books, and that's a pretty good transition right there. We have an expert joining us today, and it's our buddy Manuel. He is a hardcore Game of Thrones fan, and just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into Game of Thrones.
Well, I started watching the show first. It was on HBO. It was all the hype, and I love fantasy. I'm a huge fantasy fan, so I gave it a try because there's really no good fantasy series at the time. Mm-hmm. So I got hooked with the show, but I'm a big book reader. So then when I found out, it took me like 2 years to figure out it was based on books. So I dove into the books. I did all 5 books in one straight shot, all 5. Which is the best is A Dance with Dragons. I don't care what the other fanboys say. And after that, I had to get into the sub-lore. So then I would buy the maps. I would buy any supplement book. I even got like the comic books. And then I started reading the Duncan Egg Tales, which is like before Robert's Rebellion. Mm-hmm. And then I just read the Fire and Blood. So I just love the universe. And I think George R.R. Martin is like the best, one of my favorite authors. Him and Tolkien, of course, right? But he was able to blend like fantasy with like harsh reality, and he just made it a bloody mess of love. It's just the best.
That's like the best description of Game of Thrones I've ever heard of. What about you, Fernie?
Well, speaking of blood, you don't know what that is right now, but I got into it with the Red Wedding, whole scene, and I saw like people posting their reactions on YouTube and stuff. And I was like, okay, I've heard of Game of Thrones. It can't be that bad. I watched the scene on YouTube, spoiled myself. I was just like, oh shit, there's something I want to watch. So I just got the HBO subscription and binged everything like up to season 5. I think at that point when it was on, all the way through. Like I would go to work, come back, just watch the whole season. I haven't read the books yet, or I haven't gotten too much in depth and stuff. But the whole universe is something pretty good that I want to continue. Like after the show's over, keep diving into. So yeah.
And we have the virgin of the group. We have Alex.
I haven't even finished season 1, so I'm really new to this. But I remember you guys talking about it at work, like them talking about Game of Thrones, and never really like. I mean, I've always kind of been though a person who like watches shows late. So like, my girl got me into Breaking Bad like last 2 years ago or something, and we binged that. But I love that I'm able to. There's so many seasons right now that I can just watch it all on my own time whenever I want and not have to wait for any like commercial or anything, you know what I mean? So that's a cool thing. But yeah, it's something that I really enjoy watching now. And like I was telling you the other day, like I'll get into it to where like I guess the way they speak is just very dramatic and like strong and a lot of tension and drama. So like any little thing me and my girl do, I'll just be like, you speak lies. Like she's like, dude, just go to the store with me. Like, so yeah, I really enjoy it. I'm happy to be on this and talk about it with you guys, especially with like an expert over here. Like it's gonna be so fun because I'm already getting reactions where like you're saying all these things and I'm like, holy shit.
And we're like, we can't say anything.
And it's not even spoiler stuff. It's just like stuff that I'm like, oh my god, there's so much.
I bet I can speak for David. We kind of envy you the fact that you're gonna be able to just get the whole thing. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like the foot-long sandwich. What's up?
Yeah.
We got little bites. You know what I mean?
It was so the way I got introduced is that I had read it was right before season 3 had started, and I had heard a spoiler online about season 1, which you're about to get to because you're on episode 8. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what? How the fuck are they gonna do that to the series, and then I'm like, okay, I have to get into this. So I pirated. I didn't pirate, but I used somebody else's.
You just borrowed it.
I just borrowed it. I used
Yeah.
somebody's login for HBO Go, and I went in there and I watched season 1, and then I was hooked. I was like, these characters, although there's like 155 fucking characters in this series, I took all those characters. And I have a little, I don't know, a little place in my heart for each one of them, and it's like every time something bad happens or somebody's going through some kind of issue, I feel for them. And so like season 1, and then I watched season 2, which I think is the most overrated season. People
me too.
People say, oh, season 2 is probably like the best, like it's upper echelon. I don't think so. But then we got into season 3, and then that's when I met Manuel after season 3, and we started talking about, like, I started telling him my theories of where I think my favorite character, who's Arya, is gonna go, and he was like, nope. You have no idea what you're getting into. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, because like he's like, why do you like Arya? And I was like, oh, I like her because she's who I wanted to be as a kid. Like she's confident, she's smart, she's she's just a great overall character. And so I got into that, and then me and Manuel talked for 3.5 hours on a flight one time, and I was just hooked ever since. And I'm super excited that all of you all are going to be on this journey with us, and we hope that you all can follow us over at our YouTube channel, youtube.com/laughanddeath, and we'll be notifying you on our social media. So also follow us at at Laughanddeath on Instagram. And thank you so much, guys. We look forward to chatting with you, and we want you all to be a part of the conversation. So leave your comments in the comment section below.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Should we just do the theme song? Da, 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 da,
Dude, let's
da,
start
da,
it.
da.